My husband was keeping a lover right downstairs to make it easier for him. He moved her in beneath our very own apartment, unaware that the entire building belonged to me. Thanks to my real estate tycoon father, one night I received a complaint from a neighbor mismanage. The couple in 502 are causing a racket every night. My son is preparing for his college entrance exams next month, and he can't study with all the noise. Can you do something about it? I quickly responded, understood. I'll take care of it immediately. Just a week ago, I discovered my biological father, a wealthy real estate mogul, and he gifted me the very building where my husband and I rented an apartment. I left my old job behind and took over managing the property, including handling tenant complaints through a secondary WhatsApp account, pretending to be the building's housekeeper. I assumed the neighbor in 501 had reached her limit and was asking for help late at night. Looking at my phone, I realized that I lived in 602, directly above 502. The source of the complaint. I remembered the tenants in 502 quite well, especially the young woman. She was in her early 20s with an alluring figure and an air of mystery about her. Her movements graceful yet provocative. Her nightly screams were loud enough to carry through the walls, something I could attest to firsthand. I found her contact in the residence group chat and sent her a friend request. After she accepted, I messaged her. A gentle reminder. Hi there. We've received feedback about the noise in your apartment at night. It's affecting others' lives. Could you please try to keep it down a bit? She quickly sent me a voice message. When I played it, my hand shook. It was far from appropriate. She immediately withdrew the message and sent another, this time with a much softer tone. Hey, my place is really quiet. In response, I recorded a clip of the commotion coming from her apartment and sent it to her along with another message. Here's a sample of the feedback from your upstairs neighbor. The noise is definitely coming from your place. The banging sound from the bed frame downstairs stopped immediately. I waited in silence, listening through the floor when I was sure the noise had subsided. I sent a message to the neighbor in 501, assuring her the issue had been resolved. Less than 30 seconds later, however, the woman downstairs began screaming again, even louder this time, as if intentionally. The floor beneath me trembled and my phone buzzed with a new message. Her voice rang out again. I can't help it. It's all my boyfriend's fault for being so energetic. Why don't you take it up with him? When I saw the contact she forwarded, my heart stopped. I recognized it immediately. I had saved the number in my main account as Dear Husband. Just a week ago, my husband Lance told me his company was sending him abroad for a business trip that could last 1 or 2 months. I'd reluctantly said my goodbyes, thinking I wouldn't see him for weeks, but that was before my father gave me an entire apartment building as a gift. Now I realized I hadn't spoken to Lance since he left. I've been too busy managing the building and collecting rent. I logged into my main WhatsApp account. The last message I had sent Lance was from last week, asking if he had landed safely. There was no reply, not even a simple yes. I did a little digging and found out that last week was the day the woman downstairs moved into 502. The sinking suspicion that my husband had a mistress living just 1 floor below me grew stronger by the minute. As I listened to the noise coming from downstairs, my heart raced. I sent Lance a video call request. It rang only twice before he declined it. Anger surged through me. How dare he ignore me? I began bombarding him with calls. Every attempt was met with the same result until eventually, a voice message informed me that his phone had been switched off. I sat there on the cold floor, stunned while the sounds of laughter and shouting echoed from below. After a while, the noise finally died down. Lance called me back. I struggled to stand, but my legs were numb from sitting too long. I fell back onto the floor, staring at the screen. His face appeared flushed, beads of sweat on his brow. Hey babe, he said, wiping his chest. Sorry I missed your calls. I was just at the gym working out. When are you coming home? I asked, my voice devoid of any warmth. The moment I saw his face, I knew he was in 502. I recognized the layout of the apartment, especially the unique design of the bay windows, but Lance didn't notice my cold tone. Instead, he grinned. Miss me already? As soon as my boss approves my leave, I'll come back and stay with you for a while. It was clear he intended to keep living outside for the foreseeable future. For 5 years, we had been through everything together, scraping by, fighting through the hard times. We survived blistering summers and freezing winters, making it work in cramped windowless basements. I thought we were waiting for our moment for him to return and build a new life together in a bright, beautiful home that now belonged to us. But instead, he chose to betray me with a woman living just 1 floor beneath us. The next day around noon, I was jolted awake by loud, banging on the door. I hadn't slept well all night, tormented by thoughts of Lance's infidelity. Now, even my short-lived nap was disrupted. I opened the door, irritated. There she stood, the woman from downstairs, Leela, swaying her hips as she walked into my home, uninvited, her eyes scanning the room as if she owned it. What are you doing here? I demanded, blocking her path. Leela didn't answer. Dressed in a fitted chong, sam and towering heels, she raised her chin, her body language oozing confidence. Meanwhile, I stood there in wrinkled pajamas, hair, messy looking every bit. The neglected wife, her smugness only fueled my anger without thinking. I grabbed her shoulders and pushed her out of the door. She stumbled, falling against the wall before regaining her balance. Her fingers brushed my arm as she leaned in, her voice low and mocking. "I heard you filed a noise complaint. Is it because your husband isn't home? Are you jealous of other people's happiness?" I felt my face flush with rage. She must have misunderstood my position as the building's housekeeper, but I didn't care to explain. "This is my business," I snapped. "If I want to complain, I will. What does that have to do with you?" She smiled sweetly, her voice dripping with condescension. "Come on now. No need to be so serious. I know you're married, but you seem so lonely. My boyfriend made some braised pork for me once. I glanced down at the container in her hand. The familiar aroma hit me like a wave. Stirring memories of Lance when we had nothing, barely enough to eat. Braised pork belly had been our special treat after long grueling days. Now it was being used to mock me. Just then my father's assistant arrived, bringing my usual lunch, a gourmet meal, hand-prepared by a Michelin chef. Lala wrinkled her nose at the sight of it. "Ah, is this what you eat every day?" No wonder her eyes traveled over my figure. The unspoken insult clear before I could say anything. My father's assistant cut in. "Excuse me, but this isn't just any food. This lunch was specially ordered for Mist by a top Michelin chef. You'd be lucky to get your hands on something like this." Lola laughed, clearly not believing him. "Michelin? You mean some cheap takeout and CEO's daughter renting a place here, please?" She gave me a mocking glance. I couldn't take her arrogance anymore. I snatched the container of braised pork from her hand and poured it all over her. The thick sauce dripped down her hair and soaked her dress. Lola shrieked, smoothing her ruined hair, and ran downstairs shouting, "You'll pay for this." I sighed deeply. Women's intuition is often spot on before nightfall. Lance, who hadn't been in touch for a week, returned home. It was unclear if he thought I was oblivious or simply didn't care, but he walked in with no regard for the obvious sign. His neck was covered in clear evidence of intimate encounters marked with kiss marks. From his time with Leela, her distinct perfume lingered on him just like the scent she had left that morning. They say that distance makes the heart grow fonder, but clearly Lance's affections had shifted to someone new. When Lance arrived home, he immediately started picking fights, eventually bringing up my resignation. "I heard you quit your job." I hadn't told him about my resignation. It was meant to be a surprise, but it was clear how he found out. I felt a pang of sadness and forced a bitter smile. "Yes, I quit. Now I rely on rent income." "I'm unsure where all your earnings go." Lance's anger flared when he realized I knew about his secret. He threw his hand across the table, scattering the fancy food all over the floor. "Laura, why are you being so sarcastic? Are you implying I didn't provide for you? Just pay the rent for this house first." $2,000 fell at my feet. I bent down to gather the money, but my tears started to flow uncontrollably through my tears. I saw the mess on the floor and Lance's indifferent, impatient expression. My heart broke at that moment. "If this is how you act when you come home, will you resort to worse when you return?" I said, gathering my resolve. "I've had enough. I want a divorce." "Divorce? Laura, I've supported you all these years. Pay me back first. I finally come home and all you do is complain." With that, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. It was clear he had come back only to release his frustration and had no intention of reconciling. He was ready to go back to Leela once his anger had subsided tonight. The noise from downstairs was louder than ever. A mix of Lance's deep groans and Leela's shrieks felt like a direct challenge. I couldn't take it anymore and used my secondary WhatsApp account to send Leela a reminder. Her response came quickly. "This house isn't yours. What happens in my apartment is none of your business." I smiled to myself. The house indeed belonged to me. "Lala, you are a shameful mistress. Lance, you are a deceitful husband. I now have plenty of ways to make sure both of you regretted your actions. This game was just beginning."